What do you think the big challenges that enterprises are facing today with regard to implementing and actually driving success from their mobility projects?
Well, there are a lot of things driving the mobility market. I mean, clearly mobility is such a widespread theme today, where we're seeing a lot of new devices come out and everyone seems to have an opinion about mobility. And quite frankly, the interesting thing is, I mean, we've been covering mobility for, well, better part of the last 10 years. And in a lot of the markets, mobility isn't really that new. So a lot of the workflows that are being supported have been supported for the past 10, 15 years. But what's really driving mobility today is a lot of the innovation, certainly around the mobile platforms. So we have a lot of new mobile platforms coming to market that are much more intuitive. And that level of intuitiveness, I think, is opening up new opportunities and new workflows and new ways that mobility is being introduced. So within enterprise organizations, clearly a number one driver is always around productivity, is always around making sure that mobile workers have the right information to make informed decisions in real time at the point of interaction. That will continue to be a key driver. But what we're starting to see, and that's come up in a number of surveys we've recently done, is really about mobility as a customer-facing, customer-engaging solution. And I think that is certainly a very interesting aspect of mobility that is relatively new, and we're going to start to see a lot more of that going forward.
In terms of the challenges that enterprises face today in actually driving success and developments from their mobility projects, what do you feel they are?
Well, mobility it's not easy when it comes to organizations deciding how to apply mobile technology within their organizations. From a technical standpoint, one of the biggest issues that organizations are facing today is the multitude of platforms that they need to support, and that their end users, their employees are asking them to support. So multi-platform support is certainly something that we hear a lot about. You can't really talk about mobility and mobility challenges without talking about security. However, one interesting facet with regard to security, wireless security, is that asking the question or looking at the security issues a couple of years ago, it was a real barrier to adoption. So it actually prevented organizations from investing in mobility solutions if there was a sense that critical information, sensitive information could be compromised. So today what we're seeing is security is no longer a barrier to adoption. In other words, organizations aren't not adopting mobility because of security, but it's certainly a concern still. So it certainly comes up. Where does the data, where will the data reside, and what are security policies that I need to enforce to ensure that there won't be any compromises? And a lot of the industries, certainly financial service industries, in government, healthcare, there are a lot of regulations around data and data protection. So that's a critical concern, certainly. Another issue is also with respect to security, it can't be intrusive. So the way that you're introducing that from a design standpoint, but also how mobility is being introduced. I mean, there's a lot of ways that it can impact and benefit organizations, and organizations really just have to pick a point where they want to start. And then grow from there. We've seen a lot of mobile projects sort of get derailed because they're too complicated from the get-go. So I think one thing that we tell our clients is try to simplify it as best you can, and then take a sort of an iterative approach to introducing mobility within your organization.
What do you think the big trends are that enterprises should be looking out for in the mobility space today?
Technical trends, I mean, certainly two of the big ones that we're hearing a lot about today is cross-platform development. Speaking to the other issue about supporting multiple platforms, everyone's, is very interested in making sure that the applications that they are writing, they're deploying, can be supported across a multitude of platforms. So cross-platform development, and within discussions around cross-platform development is, what's enabling that. So HTML5 is becoming a very sort of big theme here. Now, our position on this is that it's going to be a relevant platform for mobile development. However, there's still a lot of issues associated with it. It's not the panacea. It's not the solution that that addresses all issues. But there's certainly a lot of benefits to that can enable. Another big trend is certainly around the cloud and sort of this whole notion of cloud optimized solutions. And again, what exactly you are going to be pushing into the cloud is still up for debate, depending on, again, sensitivity and issues associated with security. But that I think is, as we're looking at developments around, wireless networks, network technology, the ability to be able to have cloud-optimized solutions for a number of field workers, mobile workers, is starting to become much more of a reality. So those are certainly some of the trends. From an organizational standpoint, I think the big shift that we're starting to see now is that mobility decisions are shifting from, sort of these siloed, these siloed environments within organizations, and are becoming much more horizontal from a strategic standpoint. I think the solutions still need to be designed to address a very specific worker and workflows. In other words, there is no one mobile solution that fits everyone's needs. There is no one mobile device that fits everyone's needs. But I think organizations are starting to embrace mobility as, the mobile worker becomes the enterprise, as critical mass amongst, mobile workers is realized. So I think that is certainly a very new way that we're seeing organizations approach this. And it's not only anymore about B2B. I mean, there's a lot of B2B opportunity for mobility and continues to be, but it's also about how organizations are leveraging mobile platforms to interface with their customers. So you have the B2C aspect as well, which is certainly an ongoing trend.
In terms of the vendor market and the different solution providers that are out there, what do you think they could be doing more of to help make mobility projects more successful?
There's still a lot of education that needs to happen. And education not only from the standpoint of IT decision makers, but also education from the standpoint of how to introduce mobility into organizations. We've seen too many times mobile solutions be introduced without the proper training, and without, even, another point is, listening to your customers in terms of what they would really want. So there's a sort of a dictatorial approach to introducing mobility. So I think it's become much more around sort of consensus building, and I think that needs to continue to happen. Also simplify things. A lot of mobile applications that we're seeing are, they're just over-engineered. And they're trying, and although the technology has caught up in terms of what you can do on a mobile device, we have, multi-core processors, networks are much richer, network speeds are greater, latency issues have dropped. But, be very specific in terms of, what the workflows, what the specific applications that you're trying to perform, and again, don't try to boil the ocean, in other words. And I think then we're going to start, through those smaller successes, I think you're going to get a lot more momentum behind mobility within organizations as opposed to trying to, take on too much from the get-go.
Who is your all-time hero and why?
There's a number of different answers that I could give, and I've been thinking about this because you did ask me this question earlier. But I think probably one of the individuals, and also because I had an opportunity to, he used to teach at the school I went to. One of the individuals that's most inspiring to me, based on his life story, is Elie Wiesel. And having read several of his books, having learned about what he went through, and being one of the Holocaust survivors, it's just a very inspirational story.